What's up guys? Welcome back to another video and thanks for stopping in. Today's video is not going to be a parts install, it's actually going to be an uninstall. As you can see, we already have the inner primary off. On the other side I have the intake off. We'll talk about all of that and why, but we're going to be uninstalling some more stuff today. I'm limited on time before I go to work, so I'm just going to yank some things off and see how far we can get. In addition to that, as the title states, we are going to be talking about warranties. I've received quite a few comments asking how I'm able to get my bike warrantied out when I have all of these aftermarket parts on here. I have people saying, oh, it's because you're an influencer. Oh, it's because you are just such a terrible customer and they just can't stand dealing with you, so they just fix your bike to shut you up. And then we have actually a third party that says that the reason that my bike keeps breaking is because of the aftermarket parts that I've put on it. So I'm going to address all of those comments and hopefully shed some light on Harley Davidson and how they handle warranty stuff, the limited information that I have. I'm not going to BS you guys and give you some fluff, you know, just tell you what it is and what I've experienced and what I've heard from people like Matt Laidlaw who have commented on my videos and I've talked to about this warranty stuff. So if you guys are ready for it, let's get rolling. All right, let's start things off with addressing the elephant in the room here. My inner primary is back off, and I just did this job a couple of weeks ago. What happened? Did the clutch fail? Did the compensator fail? Did you screw something up? And the answer is no, but yes. So the parts install that I did with the Baker compensator and Trask clutch power plate and, you know, just reinstall an assembly. Oh, and chain conversion. That was all a successful job and I went on my merry way. Everything ran perfectly. So no, I did not screw anything up then, but when I upgraded to my speed dealer swing arm, which raised the rear up another inch, the chain is now rubbing on a standoff on the inner primary. I'll insert a little clip here because I did do this the other day off camera, and that was when I was able to find where the chain is rubbing. And upon my research, I found that it is not as simple as just like, you know, putting a little notch in it. It's going to continue to wear through until you finally get to the bolt, and then now either oil comes out or metal chunks from the bolt and the chain rubbing on it to go into your inner primary, and then, you know, you can figure out the rest. So I have the inner primary back off. I have it sent off to a company called Radifab. They make modifications for performance baggers, bagger racing league type stuff where they notch out stock swing arms, pocket it really nicely so that you can have as much extreme angle as you need. They do things like this inner primary modification where they just completely lop off that standoff. You no longer run a bolt there. You just plug weld it, and supposedly that's strong and safe enough. I don't love the idea. Let's be honest here. We have, you know, one less bolt holding the entire inner primary and the bearing and everything on this inner bearing race on the main shaft here. So, hey, screw around and find out, right? So that's the story with that. And as for my unassembly that I am continuing with today, I'm not going to get all of it done because I'm trying to record a video with you guys as well, but my goal is to make a pile of parts to take off to powder coat early next week. I'm in total crunch time mode. We've got 1 month till Arizona Bike Week. I've got to get new brake lines run, new brake calipers mounted, new front end, front wheel hopefully shows up. We got a lot going on. You don't even know what I mean when I say new front end, but you're gonna in the next one, if you haven't already caught the hint. But some of the stuff that I'm getting powder coated are gonna be these crash pucks, which have been gone for quite some time. I ran those down on a lathe and kind of made them fit the Harley Davidson crash bars better since they're from original garage. Kickstand, I ended up cutting and welding a section into this, made it about 1.5 inches longer because I do not like putting a stripper heel bolted into this. I think it looks kind of cheap. No offense to anybody that does that. And yes, Drag Specialties makes a 1 inch longer kickstand, but the way that it fits on these bikes, it ends up rubbing a hole on your inner primary. Mine did rub some prior to realizing it, and then now having made my own kickstand out of the stock one and the Drag Specialties one, welded them together. I was able to get the extra length that way. You'd never know once I get it powder coated. And yeah, it's held up great. So that's that. We're gonna do the Thrashin skid plate. When Thrashin first released these skid plates, they were only available in raw, and I wanted to get one right away because I was riding a ton and I didn't want to damage my water pump or any of the electrical components underneath. So I did not get an anodized one or a carbon one. Since I'm already bringing some stuff in for powder coat, I'm just gonna bring it in and get it powder coated. I completely recognize that it's not gonna hold up well compared to anodization, but realistically, the only part that I'm worried about looking much nicer is gonna be these side pieces here that you see bolted into the frame. So we're gonna send that off, and we gotta pull this mounting bracket here for my alloy art stabilizer. We're gonna get that powder coated as well, and a few other pieces I'll figure out as I go. In addition to that, as I said, I gotta run new brake lines, which means at some point in the next few days, tank needs to come off. And I think, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think I'm gonna swap the center LP6 lights in my headlight kit out from the yellow lenses to the clear, just to change things up. We'll see. Like I said, I'm not 100% on that yet, but if that's the case, then the front fairing's gotta come off. I gotta pull the entire front end out of this thing at some point. That won't happen today probably, because like I said, I'm trying to record with you guys. So realistically, I'm just gonna pull a couple of things, and we're gonna talk about this warranty stuff. So let's get started here. So we're getting this kickstand out of here. Let's talk about the whole warranty situation. As many know, my bike has gone in for warranty quite a few times. It's had the main harness replaced under warranty, automatic compression releases, cam sensor twice now, most recently the water pump, just quite a bit, right? So more than most. It was the first 24 Road Glide that showed up at my dealership in the end of January of 2024, so I did get all of the wonderful new growing pains that came with it, but I understood that was the case when I took it on. So yeah, basically the question from folks has been, how do I get this thing warrantied out when it comes to all the aftermarket parts that I have, right? The rumor online is that, oh, if you put an exhaust on your bike that isn't a Harley Davidson one, they'll no longer touch your bike or whatever, right? No warranties accepted. So that is just simply not true. I found that out as well. I bought into the hype that, you know, if you change anything on it, you're screwed, right? They could care less what exhaust you have on your bike if you're having an electrical issue with your taillights. They could care less what intake you have on your bike if your front brakes are warped and they're warped within a far enough out spec that they'll replace them under warranty. Comment that I've received quite a bit is that my work to this bike and all the changes that I've made are what has caused all of my mechanical failures and whatnot. And I'm sorry, that's just not true. Changing the shocks front and rear and the bars and risers and putting a chain conversion on it and what intake and exhaust I have, even the fact that I'm running an aftermarket ECM, which is a Thundermax, has nothing to do with my water pump physically grenading inside. It's not like the Thundermax was causing a different voltage to it and it, you know, that stopped working because it didn't like anything electrically. No, like it straight up mechanically failed, right? Nothing on this bike did that. That would be like saying that my tire went flat because of my dark tint. Like, it's just not, doesn't add up, doesn't math up, and Harley Davidson is aware of that. They're not idiots. They understand that changing my seat does not mean that my headlights should not turn on. Like, they get it, right? So they are pretty reasonable about that. And that is not just my local dealership that you know, is working with me because I'm an influencer or that I'm, you know, a pain in the ass customer. That's just not the case either. Whenever you bring your bike into Harley Davidson, they plug it in, they do an initial diagnostic, and they determine what the problem is. Once they know what the problem is, they write a complete detailed description of what they did, what they found, and they send it off to Harley Davidson Corporate. Once Harley Davidson Corporate looks at it, they don't know whether I'm a pain in the ass customer. They don't know or care about any of the fact that I have a YouTube channel. Like, it's not in their formula. Their formula is, okay, what's the problem? Is there parts on the bike that could have caused that problem? If it doesn't make sense, if it's not mathin', then they're not going to flag your claim for that, and they're going to approve the claim. And when they approve it, they send it back to your local Harley Davidson dealership, and they take care of the service. I have heard of some dealerships being pretty erroneous with their own personal choices when it comes to making these claims when they send them off to the MoCo. That is something that people are going to deal with. I've seen online people say like, oh, it's time to try a different dealership, you know, suggesting that other local dealerships may treat the customers better. So there is a little bit of that culture, that's for sure. But as far as once the paperwork is off to Harley Davidson corporate and in their hands, Harley Davidson corporate is in charge of what goes on from there. So, and that's also a good point. If you are having trouble with your local dealership, you can jump them and reach out to Moco personally, and they will bring the hammer down on your local dealership. They are very interested in maintaining their dealer network and being regarded as a good company in that aspect. I know that there's a lot of politics and flack involved with all this stuff, and I don't like to get involved with that. I'm in no way associated with Harley Davidson. They probably honestly are not quite fans of me at this point with how much I've talked about all the negative that I've had happen with this bike, but I do love the bike and I do advocate for people buying these. It's just, I've had a lot go on with it, right? And I just let you guys know about it. So nonetheless, so all of the times that I've had mechanical failures with this bike, like my entire main wiring harness needing to be replaced, it was due to a short that they couldn't find. That had nothing to do with my rear shocks and my freaking cartridges in my front end and my Krause bars. Nothing at all. And they knew that. So right away, sent it off to the Moco. Moco approved it, boom. Now, the one caveat to that is going to be, I would say, like ECM and engine stuff, right? Drivetrain, anything like that. Because let's be honest, if you replaced your rear shocks and then you have a problem with your rear shocks, you're not even going to think to bring it into Harley Davidson because it's not a warrantable thing. It's not the stock stuff, right? But let's say you have a stock 117 M8 and you have a Thundermax ECM and you burn up a valve. I think it's quite reasonable for Harley Davidson to not warranty out your engine because most likely it was your dyno tuner or your map that caused that valve to burn. So under those circumstances, yeah, Harley Davidson's probably not going to warranty your stuff out. So for those asking how my experience went with the water pump replacement, it's happened to plenty of people. This is not a one-off thing that just happened to me. This is a known thing that has happened on quite a few bikes. No, it's not enough for it to have been a recall, but they happen, right? So Harley Davidson knows that and said, okay, yeah, this is what's going on. Yeah, he's got a Thundermax, not a problem. We have been seeing these failures. They had it in a week and a half, installed it, called me, let me know what was going along the way. I did not pay a single cent, and I have a brand new water pump in my bike. So that's how it went for me, and I'm happy with it. So bike's back to good, and well, besides all the all the other stuff. So yeah, that's really all there is to it with the warranty stuff. It's not rocket science, and it's not really anything new. It's kind of been around. If you've had to warranty your bike out quite a few times, even with aftermarket parts, you know that's the experience that you're gonna have. But nonetheless, I was asked for my experience with it, and now you guys have it. And as for the intake, you see that's gone as well. Don't worry, I'm not getting rid of it after just having installed it, but I did end up deciding to attempt to reclock that backing plate so that it sits level with the bike. That was very irritating to me that it didn't sit level, so let's see if we can't fix that. Should know in a few days. I turned some new standoffs in the lathe. Gonna have a buddy TIG weld those on, and then I need to egg out the holes for this plate here. So I'll show you guys what that looks like if it works out. If it doesn't, I don't know. Also, since I'm giving updates, there are all the guts and everything to my tour pack. It is dropped off with my buddy Brent. He is a local painter to my area, does really, really great work. If you're local, look him up on Instagram, Fessenden Auto Works. He's done all my paint match stuff for years now. So he just sent me a video of it. It's all painted up. Another day or two, it'll be dry. I'll get to come pick it up. I'm not just saying it, I really am starting to stress here. I know I'll be able to get everything back together, but I'm gonna have changed so much on this bike before having gone on the trip and not really shook it down and test rode it a lot. We're talking chain kit itself, the swing arm, the alloy art bushings that I put in the swing arm, whether I like them or not, even the compensator. I know that's not gonna be an issue, but there's just so much that I've changed recently, and there's so much more that I'm still going to be changing over these next couple of weeks. We're talking brake lines, ABS flush, all that stuff. Front end stuff, you're gonna see what that is in the next video. But yeah, there's just gonna be a lot of new stuff that doesn't have many miles on it. And then we're just gonna embark on this big trip. And realistically, most likely nothing will go wrong. I trust my work or I wouldn't be doing it, but it's still just, you know, changing a lot and then going on a long trip. There's just always a lot of question marks there. So hopefully it all works out. All right, we've got this thing pretty well taken apart now. I still need to get the tank off, rear wheel, front end out from underneath it so we can get those radial calipers all mounted up, brake lines ran, etc. But this is good enough for now. And the next one, I'll either have this stuff off or I'll take it off with you. In addition, we got the powder coat stuff all removed and in a pile. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. I've got a couple of days before I drop everything off to rack my brain and make sure that, yeah, no man left behind here. And yeah, just quickly wanted to touch on the warranty situation. Like I said, I had a few people comment and say like, hey, for, you know, multiple times now, what happened with it? What was the result? Because, you know, some people haven't had to deal with that stuff yet and they're curious how it'll go for them. So hopefully that was informative. I know this video wasn't like too detailed or long or anything like my normal videos, but I just still wanted to just address it and put out a second video in 1 week. So woo. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Feel free to share your warranty experiences and whatnot. Helps the video out and helps everybody else out that's watching. So don't forget to subscribe. This thing's got a lot of cool stuff going on. You'll have to stay tuned for it. Appreciate you guys watching as always. I'll catch you in my next off week.